What's up, everybody? Krydax here, and welcome back to pYanodon's Season 3. In the last episode, we fixed up our iron and steel, and hopefully that's all running peachy keen. Let's go check on it right now, and I don't actually know what we're doing next, to be honest. I think we've hit another fork in the road. It seems like this is all still running. The high-quality iron, high-grade iron, whatever this is called, is backed up, which is exactly what we want to see. We got all the iron plates we could ever need, and that means our steel should be flowing pretty well too. Yep, looks like it. Consuming that full belt of red coke there to make as much steel as possible. I don't think we ever get another recipe for this. Oh, we do. Ooh, there is a stage 3 steel in prod science. We get something called sponge iron. What the heck? It uses iron oxide? That's crazy. So we don't even need actual iron to produce molten steel anymore? Is that even good? 50 molten steel from 10 iron oxide. And some other stuff. That's pretty cheap. Versus just 50 molten iron and 10 coke. I don't actually know if that's good. 50 molten iron, is that much harder to make than 10 iron oxide? I mean, maybe, but I don't know. I guess if you're making the nitrobenzene way, iron oxide's going to be worse, but maybe there are other sources of iron oxide that make that cheaper. Or maybe that's meant as a way to consume extra iron oxide, but that doesn't seem that strong to me. I mean, I guess you're mostly translating the cost of steel into nitrobenzene and sodium sulfate and light oil, but light oil is basically free because it can come from tar. But you're basically translating it into those costs instead of molten iron. I don't know, maybe at some point that feels worth it because you can just easily mass produce those chemicals and then you don't need as much actual iron. But then again, the amount of iron that we're producing with this build feels pretty absurd. So I don't know, hard to imagine needing more. But yeah, overall molten steel should be pretty solid at this point. Ooh, it looks like we either just ran out of an ingredient or we hit a cap. Yeah, 9K a minute. It's beautiful. I wonder if we ran out of coke for a second. That's probably what happened. Because this thing is honking. Anyway, what next? What next? Are these making enough oxygen also? We got 328. Oh. This continues to be a situation that calls for more modules and more beacons. Okay, so this guy's hitting, so we've got a 3-2 and a 2-3. Let's do a 3-3 and a 2-4. I think that still saves more power because that's 100 megawatts there, but then these guys are all using less, I think. Yeah, I think that's better. And then this one is got some extra space, so we want to shift him up to affect everybody like this. And I think he's hitting literally all of them. Yeah. And then this one we're going to need another one of. Is that one even paying for itself though? I'm not sure if it is. And we'll need some more. water here. I have no idea if that's even enough extra water for what I just changed, because I just made all these faster. Well, I guess these got faster too, so that should be okay. We got 6K water. Yeah, that's more than enough water, even with the speed boost. But yeah, what I want to see is, like, with the new change, what's the overall... I guess what were we at before? We can find... Once this is built, we can find out. It's going to take a second to get here. Okay, what should we work towards? Diamonds? Diamonds and tier 2 saw blades? New rubber? Rock hole stage 3 sucks. We already looked at that. I feel like they need to buff this one by, like, I don't know, a factor of 2. This one just actually sucks. Compared to how easy the other coal is, this one, I don't even think it makes double in terms of coal per raw coal. So it's just a really bad upgrade, in my opinion. There's some things in Pi that I can sort of argue for, and that is not one of them. I just can't make an argument for it. At some point we do need to research explosives, so I'm just gonna pull the trigger. And then fracking. Oh, that's way later. But you do need explosives for it. Let's see. Water animals stage 2. We could get xylophone, or no, Zipier. Is that fish? Yeah, fish 2. What are these called? I forgot what those are called. Trits 2. We're probably gonna need this research at some point, but I don't know if I need it yet. I don't want the silver solder. You know, we do need more tin. I might pull the trigger on tin, and then I'll go ahead and research the titanium, and we'll go ahead and research the zinc. I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is just more... Whoa, you can make your own oil sand? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Krydax has seen the possibility for 0 input. Uh-oh. I guess it needs grease. No, but grease comes from we get low distillates from oil sand processing. Oh, man. And you can make sand from nothing pretty easily. And then, I guess for the grease, though, you need, like, titanium tetrachloride, don't you? Or tin chromium alloy. And lubricant. Lubricant comes from aromatics, though, which I'm sure we could get from somewhere. This has got to be a bad recipe in the grand scheme of things, considering you can just mine oil sand out of the ground, but, like, still kind of interesting. Who knows? That's probably, like, a way to consume grease for, like, you know, hard mode players or something. Yeah, aluminum 3, nickel 3. I think we're just in the throes of more doing all the complicated metals. I think that's where we're at, and then maybe at someday far in the future we'll work on the flora and plant life. Though I was looking into big mines for more lead. Maybe we should do that sooner rather than later. What do we need for the graphene rolls? Biofilm? What do we need for biofilm? Yeah, I should probably set that up. Which one should we set up, though? I'm not actually sure. Biofilm. I guess we can just put that in the random. Wow, it's getting slower and slower. I'm worried about my game. How close are we to UPS death? The playtime is in the way of the UPS measurements, of course, so that doesn't help me. I can't see my UPS. Cool. Update time though is in the 4 millisecond range, so I'm only about 1/4 of the way towards UPS death. Lag spikes are about maybe about halfway towards UPS death. Anyway, biofilm. Oop, wrong button. Biofilm. Alright, so you guys, if we were gonna make 10 biofilm a second, the 2 rayon is the real cost to this. And we need to decide how expensive 2 rayon really is. Free, basically free. Yeah, basically free. I mean, yeah, I mean that's nothing for 10 biofilm. The fiber's not free though. That's an actual cost here. So that's because we don't get prod on this step. So that's 10 actual raw fiber. So 1 raw fiber per biofilm. And then there's some urea at this stage in the game. 3.3 urea is not that much. And then there's this sodium carbonate, which we can produce fairly cheaply. Does the other one have prod? That one does have prod, but needs way more hydroxide. Wait, no, this one needs more salt than hydroxide. Do I have new ways to make hydroxide? I do if I have slaked lime. I can even prod this. Huh. I hope I don't regret that seaweed slaked lime choice. This is an interesting way to do it. Surely it's cheaper to just do the other way and just use salt, right? I don't even know which way I'm doing it right now in the base. I think I'm doing it this way. Because we get all the HCl out, I think was my argument. So we'll have like infinite HCl forever. And then, yeah, we need a bunch of salt, but we don't need all these extra things. So I think that's the way that I did it. Because salt is pretty easy to mass produce. Yeah, I mean, I've got huge arrays of the bisulfate and the sulfate. And then I have a small array of the sodium carbonate from sulfate, which probably should be sped up, by the way. Because I'm definitely using more these days of the sodium carbonate. Ammonium chloride I'm still not using much of. I mean, just in a general sense, I feel like I should throw in like a 5.2 or something to all these buildings here. Or a 1.2, I mean. Because a 1.2 is 16% faster on all those. That's a pretty big boost. That's equivalent to adding like 1.5 buildings. As Krydax would say, it's not nothing. It's like a kid's show, you know, like that's our theme song. It's not nothing with Crydex in the morning with his coffee. All right. Anyway, we were speeding up our rayon while we're at it, and that's a 1-2. Okay. So anyway, back to biofilm. I'm guessing that after looking further into this, there's no question here which one's better. Because this one needs an absurd amount of substrate and cellulose. And the only thing we gain is not needing rayon, but rayon's not even that expensive, apart from the fiber. But this is going to need fiber too. We're not ever doing the Yotoi one. The Yotoi one is garbage. The fiber one is less garbage, and we probably will do that one once we have it. When do we get that one? Okay, we basically are able to research it now. So though, what's the rate on that? 52 of those versus 20 pulp mills. Oh, it's much better. Yeah, that's much better. And we cut our hydroxide needs in a third. But yeah, I mean, look at this. Look at how much we would need for cellulose. So this is just way worse, because the main cost of rayon, I would argue, is the fiber and the urea and maybe sodium carbonate, but I think we can handle that. So this is all very doable. We just need to set it up somewhere. We need like random land. Where's random? This feels like a good random land. And we've already got any of the fluids we need. Sulfuric acid, looks like. So we can use that. And then let's do we'll do a weak side here. Weak side request. For what all do we need? We need let me just pin this. And then I also want to improve propene. We're gonna do that real quick. So we're gonna do a speed, a 3-2. We're gonna remove, I think this many buildings is safe. No, we'll go to half. And then we upgrade them. And then we prod them. Uh-oh, we're out of trains. Looks like fluid trains. Now, there's still a couple fluid trains I need to upgrade. I know we didn't hit on all of them, so that'll be something to do. At some point I'll need to add more trains, but it hasn't really needed to happen yet. Okay, so anyway, we need a request. Probably none of these things that we've already requested. Ooh, there's biomass. Different biomass. Ooh, we got fiber. We got raw fiber. Oh, it's the wrong kind of fiber though. We need lime, biomass, substrate, rayon. Oh, that we only need 4 things. Sorry, we don't need to make the rayon here. Okay, this should be fine then. And then in terms of numbers, the thing we need the most of is the substrate. Way more than everything else. Substrate. Ugh, it did the thing. Substrate. Basic substrate. 50 stacks. Then we need biomass. What, the real one? 30 stacks? Sure. Lime. 30 stacks. And rayon. 25 stacks. 135 total. Perfect. Filter doesn't copy correctly because it's like a different entity or something. I don't fully understand it. Cannot claim to fully understand. All right, and then we'll just set these up probably here. Maybe we'll do it like, I want to leave some space. I guess Cermat has space to expand on there, so we will on both sides here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I can make this work. And then we've got our 2 inputs. I think we can make this work somehow. Yeah, I mean, that's already good. All right. And then one of these. Uh-oh. What the problem is, we don't have molten iron. Something's wrong. What do you want? You're wanting benzene? Oh, I didn't filter benzene. Easy mistake. Easily fixable. Ta-da! Okay. So back to this. And then this is our output. And then we copy that. And then if I move this over, we can fit in a beacon. I don't know what kind we need. 4.1 is about right. 1 speed module. Yeah. That should get us like 15 biofilm a second max. Heck, I mean, a belt isn't even fast enough here for the substrate. So I'm gonna need... Uh-oh. Mistakes were made. Mistakes were freaking made. Whoops. That is a whoopsie daisy. All right. Let's upgrade all of these. Am I ready to pull the trigger on red belts? What do red belts actually cost? They do need stainless steel, which I don't love. The lubricant's basically free. We've upgraded iron niobium alloy, so that's cheaper than it used to be. Advanced small parts. I mean, they're never like cheap, but cheap. I love cheap sheeps in Mario. They're so derpy. They're just they're the essence of derp. Like the word derp, you know, you look it up in the dictionary and you just got cheap right there. Anyway, iron niobium alloy is way cheaper than it used to be. Advanced small parts are, where are they? Totally forgot where they are. They were in this region, so yeah, right here. I mean, we've got prod on them, so that helps. And most of these things are cheaper than they used to be. So, in that sense, they're not that bad. It is consuming a full 15 bolts a second, which is crazy. Yeah, I think we're okay to maybe just build red belts forever. I am slightly worried about the stainless steel. Phosphate, ferrochrome got cheaper. Cobalt extract didn't get cheaper, but we did improve it. Phosphate, I mean, it's not that bad. We just increased most everything on this list except for nickel. And we're about to research that, so. What is it, 50? 50 molten stainless only makes 6.5 actual stainless steel. Which means 5 nickel. Like, each stainless steel does have a full nickel plate in it, basically, and a full ferrochrome in it, and a full 1/5 of a cobalt extract. Yeah, maybe that's too much cobalt extract. I don't know if we're making enough of that stuff. Even with our speed up, it's still only 2 a second. We do have a buffer for it now, though, which is probably for the best. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if I'm ready to just only build red. Uh-oh. Wow, we're like really stopped up. It's getting worse. Well. We'll see if it catches up. I think part of the problem is science. We haven't researched science in a while, so now that we're running science, everything's freaking out. Anyway, what was I doing? We were building biofilm. That's right. Okay. And I mean, I think that's it, pretty much. I'm just gonna provide in here. That's 48 more slots. And then, oh, this is so useful. I can just see where the dot is gonna be, so I know where to build it. And then you're hooked up, and you say biofilm is less than 4,200, and then you're the biofilm. Alright, anyway, substrate needs to be its own. Oh, wait, that's gonna cause problems. I could sushi it. Hold on. Wild plan. I have the wildest. Okay, you guys are gonna love this. I've never done this before, which is why I want to do it now. You might think that this is too complicated and more work than it's worth. And you'd be correct, but we're doing it anyway. We are doing it anyway. I need a route underground here. Okay. So what we're doing is a lesser known. It's not a trick the Jedi would tell you. What we're doing is absolutely crazy. Okay, so first off, we've got the substrate just flat out on this one. Let's build another one of these doodads. So the substrate's on there, and then we need in equal parts lime and biomass. So because we need them in equal parts, what we can do, and technically you don't even need things to be in equal parts to do it this way. In fact, no, that's crazy. I'm not going to do it all in one, but we could do, technically, because the lime plus biomass is still half of what substrate needs. So if I'm doing a full belt for substrate, lime and biomass should each have a half, and that means rayon would be off on its own. So instead, oh my gosh, am I really doing this? I'm really doing this. Okay, so lime and biomass, and then rayon. Don't worry, we'll show you how this is all gonna work. So then, every 2 lime and biomass, we need a rayon, roughly. Not exactly, but roughly. So that means we can actually utilize splitters as long as there is pressure behind the splitters. We do half and half of half and half. So we need, what we need to do is do half and half and then take out half the rayon, or we're combining 4. Basically this. So we have a full belt of lime and biomass, and then we mix in rayon with that. Now it's half rayon, half lime and biomass. And then we have another belt of lime and biomass, and then we mix in with that. And now we've got full, and then we only run this belt if, and now I'm gonna need a decider combinator. If I can find it. Oh, it's way down here. You know, I have it right here on my hotbar. So only if we're read, hold on both of these. So only if we have at least 3 lime and at least 3 biomass and at least 6 rayon should this belt run. So enable if green, green signals the output if we've got lime and biomass. See, this is the kind of thing, I'm just playing around, we're just having fun, right? This is the Zen garden. Like, we're, whatever. This isn't necessary, but it's kind of fun. It's interesting. We haven't done it before. It's a fun idea. We're experimenting and seeing what works. It's a new form of sushi. Rayon greater than 6. Biomass greater than 3. I am okay with greater, because that means we have 4, which is actually what we want, I think. I don't know if count on an individual belt as items flow, does it stay constant at 4? That's actually something I would like to know. Like if I've got a belt here, and we power those up and I put some random crap in here, and then I read single lane, please. Read, hold. It does stay exactly constant at 4. So the exact tick that one item leaves the belt, the next item pops onto the belt. That's very helpful. Alright, so back to our craziness here. So that means we should be able to rely on 4, 4, 8. Okay, and then that's what enables that belt. And so then, I mean, I think more or less that's good to go. This is the rayon in. This is those items in. This is the substrate. And all we need to do now is recycle the items that don't get used. And so those are going to flow back to here. And then we just need some priority splitters, which we are kind of already have set up. So like I'll probably just do this for the rayon. And then this one is where the substrate will come back to. This is where the rayon will come to. That'll be input priority left. This will be input priority left. Everything should stay on the same lane that it originated on. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then this can splitter these things early so that there's a bit of a buffer for them. The ratio shouldn't be too far off. In that sense, we should be okay. Get a lamp over here. Do this. So to the right will be, or I guess to the left would be rayon. Everything, okay. Everything else goes to the right. Input priorities itself back in. The lanes are commanding what's on each side in terms of lime versus biomass. So that works. And this belt only flows if those are full of stuff anyway. So that works. I don't know, folks. I don't know if this works or not. I think it does, but this is a complicated-ish situation, and it's very possible I missed something in all of this. But I'm just gonna let it run and see what happens. And we'll find out together if this works. Because if it does work, it's a semi-elegant idea. To have count perfect and then you feed back in. It certainly allows you to use less belts, and it's not, in some ways, it's not as complicated as sushi. Because you're kind of just throwing a rough ratio onto the belt that's forced by splitters that require back pressure might be the wrong word here, but they require pressure behind the splitters. I mean, they require back pressure on the belts prior to the splitters. That is the correct term. I was talking with Kobladix on the Discord. Back pressure is a word we all use a lot in Factorio, or people throw around in Factorio, and I think it kind of means two things depending on what people mean by it. But it technically means one thing with like real pipes, which is like back pressure is like if you're looking at this pipe and it's going this direction. Imagine that's an arrow. The pipe's flowing that direction. Back pressure means there's resistance ahead of you that's actually exerting a force backwards. So like, you know, something like a water hammer is a very, if you've heard of what that is, it's like when you close a valve and like all the water that was moving now comes to a stop, that exerts a huge backwards force because, you know, or, well, it's a relative backwards force. I don't know if it's literally a backwards force. Anyway, I'm not a physics major, but all that to say, back pressure is a term sometimes people use to mean stuff up here is backed up, and sometimes people use it to mean stuff back here is backed up. And technically, those both could be back pressure. It just depends on how you're phrasing it. So, anyway. Oh, wait. I need to have another one. Also, it doesn't seem to be working. Because I picked the wrong biomass. That's pretty important. And then this one can only run if lime and biomass is acceptable. Otherwise that count will get off. Now, to be fair, even if the counts are wrong, we are recycling everything, so it's not like the hugest problem. Is there some sort of weird problem we run into where the inserters eat all the rayon off of one lane and not the other lane? And then we end up with the re-entry rayon backing up on one lane. Yes, that actually is a real problem. So what we need to do is make sure the re-entering rayon can go onto both lanes, and it will therefore prioritize all this rayon no matter which lane it came from originally. Okay. And then this is only requiring those guys. And then this is requiring that, and then this is outputting this. Yeah, I mean, this, you could parameterize this potentially to be a bit more elegant, and you could make versions of like different ratios, and then you could paste those down where it's like, oh, this is my 1:2, this is my 2 different lanes mixed with one thing. And I also just realized I think we screwed this up again by not acknowledging the rayon is on both lanes, because we're doing 1/4. No, this is about right. 3 + 3 + 2. We're going 3-3-2 instead of 5-5-2. So we're off by a bit. We'd rather do 6-6-2, wouldn't we? Yeah, I needed another merge. So we're sending way too much rayon here. I mean, it's in the ballpark, but it's too much rayon. So rayon is the thing that will always be coming back. Pretty awesome. Honestly, I'm quite happy with this. It's weird for sure, but I like it, and it's goofy, and it works. Well, at least I think it works. The thing that I said could happen is literally happening. It's eating all the rayon off of one side. Shouldn't that balance out with... Do the inserters still prioritize one side even when they're on both sides of the belt? Or no, it's all going onto one side just because that belt wasn't built yet. Never mind, we're good. Okay, so that should all balance out now. And a lot of it gets eaten anyway. It's always eating some amount off the belt. So as long as this priority is priority, it's never going to back up. It's literally impossible. I like it. This is fun. This is a fun form of sushi. It's ratio sushi. Ratio-shi. Sushio. I don't know. It's hard to merge those words. I don't know. I like this. This is fun. It certainly has its quirks, and I'm guessing if I did this more often, I'd iron out a lot of those quirks. But it is a fun form of sushi that doesn't require you to measure items on the belt overall. You are requiring back pressure behind the splitters so that it doesn't try to merge with a thing that can't merge. You know, and that would be a cool function of splitters, by the way. Factory Town actually has essentially mergers, which can merge belts from 3 directions going this direction, you know, going that way. And it will actually wait for items. So it'll like force a ratio. So like if items come in on the one item comes in on this side, it will not actually, and another item comes in on this side, it won't let this item in because this item hasn't come in yet. Once this one comes in, then it'll wait for this one. Then once this one comes in, then it will allow one from this side. Like it'll basically force taking turns. And I actually like that functionality. That's what we're wanting here. We actually need that perfect ratio. And in Factory Town, it's quite useful because there's a lot of items that have nice perfect ratios, like 1, 1, 2. And then you can use splitters to force that perfect 1, 1, 2 ratio, or mergers, I mean, to force that perfect ratio. And then you don't ever have to worry about using one belt for multiple items. And I find that quite useful. And essentially what you would need is splitters to be enable/disabled based on whether all 4 input lanes are like ready to enter. Like essentially you could say require require lanes to run, you know, and then it wouldn't run if the lanes weren't, if it didn't have something behind it. And then if it did have something behind it on all lanes, then it would run, and then you'd be good to go. But yeah, as far as I can tell, this is working, so that's kind of fun. And all that to say, we've got biofilm, and we need to merge these chests. Cool. All right, biofilm is done. Goofy and silly version. I like it. We'll need to be done with the episode soon here, but I can maybe, well, what we do need to do is add tin 3, nickel 3, titanium 3, aluminum 3. What was the other one? Copper 3, zinc 3. I don't necessarily want to do all of these in a row, but I did want to put them all on the list. And 10 is the one we actually want to do sooner rather than later, because that one I know we've had some tin issues before. So that's the one that we'll be working on next. Did I break down the full system? Oh, we needed biofilm for it, so that's handy. We actually just did biofilm. I didn't even realize we would need it for tin specifically. Is this all there is to it? Tin pulp, stage 3 goes to the high grade mix, goes to high grade. I just want to make sure we're not missing anything. Yeah, that looks right. And then we've got like bottom pulp that goes back to concentrate, and dust that goes back to rejects and concentrate. High grade tin concentrate, high grade tin mix. There's so many things in this one that like aren't in the other ones. And what are we doing with the high grade tin concentrate? That's what makes the original tin pulp stage 2. I guess we already plugged all this in, but I have to trust past Krydex did this correctly, which is a scary thing to trust. But it looks like all those things are showing up here. And we get some random iron ore dust out that we'll have to ship off to the iron world or just trash. And for the most part, it's very cheap to make a lot of tin plates with this, except for MIBC. We need a lot of MIBC. That's like kind of an absurd amount of MIBC. That's almost 3 MIB, in between 3 and 4 MIBC per plate. Wow, that's a lot of MIBC. What step is that all going into? Literally can't find it. This one. It's all going into the jig concentrator, turning tin dust into rejects and concentrate. Cool. Okay, whatever. That's fine. We'll live. And we actually need sand. Annoyingly, I think it's too much sand to just break down the stone that we get into sand. And we also, hold on, we do get some sand, but not enough. We get some concentrate back, but concentrate re-enters grade 10, 2, 3, 2 goes to 3, 3 goes to mix, mix goes to high grade. Iron dust. So there's no looping here, right? Tin slime, tin overflow, tin pulp 1, grease infiltration media, makes lubricant. I'll probably just void that lubricant, to be honest. I mean, we could turn it back into grease, but that requires more ingredients that I don't know if I want to deal with. Tin, chromium, and yeah, we're not going to do that. We do make a good amount of tailings here. Can tailings make kerosene? I don't think so. Because tailings can make the aromatics and benzene, which we learned can make xylitol, which I still think is hilarious that worked out so perfectly. Oh, I have this one now. This is an interesting option. Anyway, can olefins make... Because kerosene's made from heavy oil. Oh, so we can. Oh my god, wait a second. So we do tailings and aromatics, which, you know, we have to figure some things out here, but and olefins can make, what is this one? Split olefin into light fuels petrol. We can make light oil from olefins? There's so many options now. This is a truly wild world. Truly wild world indeed. But we've got crude oil right here, which I could break down into the low distillates, which is the one that makes the heavy oil. Oh, we need gasoline for it? Well, that's fine. We can make gasoline from the... well, the condensates can give us some tailings back, first of all. Which we can loop if we really wanted to. And then medium distillates are the ones that would get me gasoline. Oh, is that only from strip distillates, though? Yeah. Unfortunately, I'd need the titanium tetrachloride for that. The gasoline can also come from condensed distillates or light oil by itself, which I can get from the olefins, which we learned. CO2 I can make from scratch somehow. I don't know. I'll figure that out. And then this can make gasoline somewhere. One of these recipes. That one. Oh, and that's so weird. We get the... Is that... Hold on. So aromatics plus tailings makes olefins in equal amounts as the aromatics. And then those olefins make light oil in half the amount of the olefins. And then that light oil makes aromatics in equal amounts to the light oil. But I can do prod on 2 of those steps, which is only 40%. So not enough to get back the full amount, but enough to get back close to the full amount. 26 out of 36 we get back. So it uses a very small amount of aromatics, which is good because then that means we need less of the coal water slurry to make the original aromatics, which means I can keep more of the tailings for this part of the recipe. This is like what I did with the stupid make Coke from nothing build, but worse. Not to mention, I have not addressed... I don't think BTX can do much by itself. It needs Nexalit for everything, which is annoying. BTX literally does nothing by itself, except you can make steam in a, you know... It's a fluid fuel. That's it. Alright, useless. Do BTX barrels do anything? Nope. Alright. Dead fluid. Okay, so anyway, the gasoline's paid for. That gets us the heavy oil. That gets us the kerosene. And there you go. There's kerosene from tailings. We do need CO2. I can make CO2 from coke, and we can make coke from residual mixture. Right? Yep, just straight up residual mixture plus vacuum, which is, you know, just a pressure pump. It makes 1 coke per 5 residual mixture, and 1 coke is, I believe, 40 CO2. So this is about 3 coke, which is about 120 CO2, I think. And I think you can do prod. No, you can't do prod on that step. Yeah, 40 CO2. We can do prod on the CO2 step, but we probably would just get the CO2 from, like, well, I'd say biomass, but then again, maybe not, because we don't have a... Where is the biomass one, actually? It's in here. Okay. Tar can also make CO2 directly. Syngas can make CO2 directly. Methanol plus syngas can technically make CO2, but it's a tiny amount. Trying to see what all can make CO2. Hot molten salt, that's not really reasonable. Cyanic and ammonia, not super reasonable in most cases. So it is mostly just coke and biomass, and I guess syngas. And tholins someday. Someday I might use tholins. Just for the memes. I don't know how strong they are. They used to be super weak. I don't know if they made them better or worse. But anyway. So... overall, what are we doing here? So what I wanted to see... So what can we do with refined natural gas again? Just turn it back into condensates? Or formaldehyde? Oh, naphtha. I think this goes to 250, if memory serves. That gets the numbers correct. And so naphtha by itself can be tall oil or hydrogen or creosote. Is that it? I think that's it. With a little bit of chromium, we get syngas. Not gonna bring in chromium for this though. I think, yeah, that is it. Okay. And tall oil doesn't actually make much, right? I think it's mostly just a fuel. Oh, you can make benzene and aromatics from that. Interesting, interesting. I was about to say that makes this an infinite loop, which was about to get me really excited, but it's not because the original needed tailings. But the coal water slurry... Make sure there's prod on every step that can do prod. Let's see. So yeah, now we're not, I don't know, 250. What does that change to 300? Actually, no, not enough. 350? 400? Jeez, 450? 500? Gosh, 500%. That one can't do prod. So we got an absurd amount of BTX. We've got 100 tailings coming out of this. And that's a situation where 172 tailings went in. And then the light oil that comes from those olefins is paying for most of those aromatics. And the rest of the aromatics can be paid for by the... Well, we need some light oil for this, though. And we don't have any more light oil. So I would need to use the... I know I said I was going to be done soon, and then I got sucked into a Helmod chain. Oh, the story. It is the way the story goes. Ooh, this gets us a ton more naphtha. Does that do anything for me though? It uses up some of the gasoline, which I don't think we get enough back. Like if we use up all the high distillates and then we use the condensed distillates, yeah, and you can't prod either of those. So that gets you back about half of the gasoline you used, but not all. So you're just turning high distillates into naphtha plus petroleum at the cost of a little bit of gasoline. And like we said, naphtha is mostly hydrogen, tall oil. Did I say creosote? Because that's not something I can do. Literally just tall oil and hydrogen are my only options. And tall oil has to be mixed with light oil to make benzene aromatics. I feel like we're getting this. So then what if we... Because where else can I get light oil? Residual oil doesn't make any light oil, I don't think. That's all coke related, right? Coking gas oil. Coking gas oil is just more coke. I don't think any oil-based stuff comes out of this. We do get coke oven gas, which could be syngas. I don't think syngas can turn into oil, though. We can make plastic. Yeah. Oh my god, if we put nichrome in here, we'd be there. Oh, you can get tar with oleochem and oxygen addition. But no, I don't think any of that is what we want. This is crazy. It's absolutely crazy what you can do. Hydrogen and CO2. There's another way to get CO2, by the way. But yeah, I don't think there's a route for this particular direction. I guess if we go to refined syngas, this recipe doesn't show up though until I think prod sci. I want to say that's this one. Yeah. This opens up a whole new world of loops and possibilities. And by then we'll have tier 3 prod modules, which means even more things become net positive. We are going to be able to make the most bonkers from nothing oil builds. Oh my gosh. Because this one doesn't even need, I mean, it doesn't even need a solid. It's just refined syngas. So you're turning the gas form of stuff back into the oil form of stuff with light oil, which is crazy. And then this one, it does need chromium, but it's using petroleum and turning it back into like more useful stuff again, like tar and refined syngas. So that one, we're gonna have to figure out a chromium from nothing build, and then we can use that plus this, and it's affected by productivity as well. It's crazy. And then this guy, it's kind of wild. I don't know if it's very good, but it's an option. Anyway, I am gonna finish this train of thought and then we're gonna be done. So I do wish if you removed a row, it wouldn't scroll you all the way up. It is one annoying thing about Helmod that I think there's not an easy fix for it. I think people have asked about it before. Anyway, so I guess the question I was having was like, is there a way to have this be infinitely positive? Because if we use up all of the aromatics we get from the tailings, we get this, and that makes... remove these last two as well. Yeah, the problem is, where do we get this light oil? Olefins and CO2, that's one we already looked at. Strip distillates. Outlet gas stage 2. What makes stage 2 outlet gas? We need org solve. And then the original outlet gas needs copper and nickel as well. But otherwise, it is kind of just coke oven gas. Tar we could surely get from somewhere. But yeah, the copper and nickel would be the issue there. You'd have to figure out a copper and nickel from nothing. And org solve. So, are there other ways to make light oil? Just strip distillates, huh? Pitch comes from processing tar, right? And tar we could get from whole gas. Activated carbon needed for that one. Those all need something. Wasn't there? I swear there was another thing that output tar that we were just looking at. Which one was it? Maybe it was this one. I guess it was that one that we were looking at. Yeah. Yeah, tar is not that easy to make from nothing. I mean, you can make gravel from nothing, though. And that's tar and tailings from nothing. And tar is... Huh. How... I think we need to use this. So tar... Just a quick... Thinking about numbers here. So tar is used in... I mean, you can 1-to-1 tailings it for quenching. But you can also do tar processing, which is this one. And you get 140 pitch. Which then... like 30 light oil? 28 light oil? Huh. Not that much. 100 tar goes to 28 light oil. Okay. Isn't there just a tar? Yeah, no, wait. Hold on, there's a different one. This one. Yeah. Tar can go to light oil in a 6 to 5, or what is that? 12 to 5 ratio. Roughly 2 to 1. So... So all we need from this, because this is already, I guess which one of these makes better use of the light oil? Because these are both competing for light oil. The tall oil's free from the condensates, sort of. It uses a little bit of gasoline, which also spins light oil. But which one of these, I mean, this is clearly making less aromatics per light oil. So we would only do this if we needed the benzene. And the benzene's not doing anything for me at all, right? I think we already looked at, like, benzene's kind of useless. Except for that one xylitol recipe. And xylitol is pretty useless, I think, too, except for the things it's needed in. Yeah, okay, never mind. So benzene's pretty pointless here. So we actually don't ever want to do this tall oil recipe because we need light oil anyway, and we're using more tall oil per aromatics here. Because here it's 1 to 1 and here it's not 1 to 1. Even with tier 3 and tier 2 prod, I don't think this is 1-to-1. Yeah, you would need probably tier 3 prod modules. Even then, you're still not 1-to-1. So you would actually need the tier 4 building, tier 3 modules. Then you finally have accomplished getting more aromatics out of your light oil, which is ridiculous. And you get free benzene too. So that would be a better form of light oil to aromatics, because this one can't do prod. But anyway, so that's out. So then we're left with just a bunch of random naphtha or tall oil if we want, but it's not doing much for us. But we are getting tailings out of this condensates loop. So that does pay for a good portion of the tailings that we needed in the first place. The oil, the low distillates needed the gasoline, which we gained from the light oil, which we gained from the olefins, which came from the original crude oil production. That's all acceptable. So the only issue, I guess there is no issue. This is just a build that inputs some amount of tailings and makes a crap ton of good stuff from it. This feels like a reasonable... It's not zero input yet, but it will be, right? With tier 3 buildings? Because we'll get more tailings from this loop. This loop does spend gasoline, though, is the problem. Currently, we're net positive gasoline, but as this loop does more loops, we are spending gasoline each time, and there's no gasoline output of this. There's no way to get from naphtha back to gasoline. Because at that point, you'd need to spend light oil, which you might as well have just made into gasoline in the first place. So that's not a thing. And the high distillates, we already decided, are pointless, right? They don't give us anything. Huh. This turd recipe for tar processing is becoming more and more attractive to be able to make all sorts of loops. Where was this turd? I remember seeing it at some point. I don't remember what category it's in. But this one's actually like kind of good, because now we're turning those high distillates into so you can get aromatics back from this naphthalene. I don't know if anthracene does anything. Gasoline. Oh my gosh. So you're turning high distillates back into aromatics and gasoline. Oh my goodness. Creosote if you want it. So this is actually kind of wild for loops. Did we already miss our boat for that turd? What would it be under? This oil? I have no idea. Because none of these feel like... None of these feel right for that sort of thing. Like, what would it have been under? Fish? Pooji? Forestry? Creature chamber? Hogs? Sap? Seaweed had the lime one. Oh, it was our wood processing. Interesting. So this is a saw blades opportunity cost. Interesting. So this is potentially going to be sad that we missed this one, because this could create so much more infinite loopage, potentially at an earlier stage, because this would totally unlock this whole system, because now we'd be able to turn that light oil, because we needed more light oil, right, to turn into the aromatics to pay for these aromatics. And then we could turn the, and we even get some here, and we could turn the anthracene into gasoline, which would fund more loopage. Anyway, back to these actual numbers. So what I'm trying to kind of boil down to is there anything else we can add into this? I don't think so. Because the tailings are reused, the aromatics are reused. Gasoline, I think, is done. There's nothing you can turn gasoline into. Right? Not without strip distillates. Yeah, it's mostly just an add-in. We can't make strip distillates on site, right? We would need to make coal dust, titanium, and chlorine. Yeah, the titanium is pretty rough to make from nothing. I don't think that's gonna happen. So that means our medium distillates are kind of dead. I don't think they can do anything else. You can upgrade them to high distillates at the cost of a tin chromium alloy. Yeah, we're not doing that. By upgrade, it's more like downgrade. Anywhoosie, the cold water slurry to make the aromatics is only needed to do some of the aromatics. So this would only be a small percentage of our tailings are needed to make the aromatics. Or I guess I should rephrase this as like it's only consuming like 30% of our aromatics. Or no, sorry, it's consuming like 200% of our aromatics. And then we need to increase that until this number disappears. So 300, 350, that's about right, 355, 358, there we go, 356, perfect. We'll just call that done. So then that is kind of balanced out on that front, but then the tailings, obviously we don't have enough because we needed some original input tailings. So we don't want to use all of the tailings for cold water slurry, so this needs to go less than 100. 70, 50, 45, 35, 30. We're going the wrong direction. Something's weird. As I decrease that... Oh, this is supposed to use up all the tailings. Or the aromatics, not the tailings. There we go. Okay, now we've got too much tailings out. I thought... Oh no! I just hit the X! What did I just delete? I deleted the tailings to cold water slurry. I need that back. Broke freaking everything, man. All right, it's back, Okay, and this is the one that needed to be like 35%. 40%. 50%. We're looking for tailings to disappear from that side. 52? That's about right. 51 seems to be about right. So that is at this stage of productivity. Hopefully I didn't miss one. Yeah, we got them all. At this stage of productivity, this is what the loop would look like for this amount of tailings. So half of it goes into the cold water slurry for aromatics. The other half goes into the FTS reactor to make oil and olefins. The olefins make some light oil, which make back some aromatics and make the gasoline we need to process the heavy oil and the refined syngas or natural gas and condensates loop, which then nets us a ton of tall oil out, or naphtha, whichever one we prefer, petroleum gas, and a good amount of kerosene. All for the cost of just tailings. That's it. This is a tailings only input. And let's go ahead and see what a 3.3 beacon applied to everything does for building count. You do still need quite a few compressors for that condensates loop. That condensates loop is wild. And we need it because that's what gives us back a lot of tailings. So there's really no option for that one to be different. Everything else is pretty much one building. I guess that's 2. Still, this is kind of crazy. And we get a crap ton of extra kerosene from that. We get tall oil. We get BTX out the wazoo. 100 megajoules. 100 megawatts, I should say, of BTX, if that were easy to utilize. Plus, we get random medium distillates and stuff we could ship off if we wanted to. Residual mixture and coke. High distillates we're also not using. So, like, this is kind of cool. I don't know. I'm guessing once we have tier 2 modules or tier 3 buildings, this becomes a infinite loop. Because that gives us an extra 10% on the coal water slurry to aromatics. And then it gives us another 10% on the olefins out, on top of, because the olefins are what give us the gasoline and aromatics. So we'd get more aromatics, 20% more aromatics back from this, plus the oil itself is what gives us the condensates, and we'd get more oil, and the more condensates would get us more tailings on top of, and then we'd need fewer tailings to pay for this, plus, so then we could funnel more of the original tailings into the coal water slurry, which also got boosted. So between those boosts and this overall, the condensates loop getting boosted too, I think having 3 modules would make this all infinite. Gosh, I really need to go. I have so many errands to run today, and then I have work later, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I can't stop playing pyanodon's. But I'm guessing this goes infinite without any input needed. Because now we've got a ton of condensates extra that we need to use up. So what, 600? 800? Okay, that's too much. 750? That seems to be exactly the right number. That's crazy. So at that point, we got 344 tailings from that, which is actively more tailings than this used. So we are net positive on tailings. We are slightly negative on aromatics, but only slightly. Oh, that's so close. Gasoline is still in the green as well, thankfully. 35 is more than, 25. So I guess the question is, would that extra tailings, I don't think it's quite enough. That's only 6 extra tailings. Yeah, it's not quite enough. 6 tailings wouldn't be enough to pay for the aromatics deficit, which is about 15 aromatics missing. Huh. Not quite infinite. Now, the real question is, do I get tier 3 buildings or tier 2 modules first? When do I get tier 2 modules? We get them in Pi 3. It's probably pretty late in Pi 3 because it's got all these crazy components and probably, yeah, blue circuits. Oh God, I'm not looking forward to blue circuits. But do blue buildings need blue circuits too? So like a destructive distillation column, for example. Yeah, those are so we actually get tier 2 modules before tier 3 buildings. Okay, I had that backwards. I kind of assumed tier 3 buildings would be first. So, and then that's actually good news for this particular exercise, because These are 20% prod. And that would have only been 30. So this will go infinite, I'm pretty sure. If we switch these back to tier 2 and go to tier 2 modules. So there you have, and now this number is going to be even higher. I assume 1,000%. No, that's still not even high enough. 1,250? No, 1,500? Oh my gosh. That's insane. That's almost an infinite number of loops. That's 18 buildings. Oh my gosh. This is hilarious. At this point, we don't have enough gasoline for that. But if we did, I mean, look at the amount of tailings now. It's not even close. You know, 800 over 3. Yeah, like, you can easily. And the aromatics are almost equaling out anyway. Still, funnily enough, not equaling out. We would need to send a couple tailings back to cold water slurry to make a couple extra additional aromatics. Because the oil into... Wait, what is this? Oh, the olefins into light oil isn't quite enough. But it's very close. Anyway, we're going to have to call it there. That was a fun deep dive into the world of infinite oil products, which is very doable from tailings alone. And once we have tier 2 modules, we can literally make a zero input generator of oil products. And that's all oil products. Minus the strip distillates ones, because that requires that. And we could always ship in titanium tetrachloride. And now we don't even need to worry about mining crude oil. That's wild. All right, well, obviously we're not going to do all of that right now, especially because it doesn't go infinite. If it went infinite, I'd be more tempted to do it now. But it doesn't go infinite till tier 2 modules. So I think it might have gone infinite with that other wood processing upgrade. I'm not sure, and I'm not gonna, it's not worth our time to look into it right now. But it might have gone infinite. It would have been closer for sure, because of being able to get all that extra light oil. But either way, we'll probably start working on this in the next episode. As always, thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let's just look one more time to make sure Biofilm's not broken, and it seems like we're good to go. All right, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.